And they don't really make adult skating aids. We could have had one for you.
They're open concept. I can't breathe.
Winter's a season that can take a toll on us both mentally and physically. I, for one, like to sit by the fire and have a warm drink and be surrounded by friends and family, but my activity level drops off and so does my motivation when it's cold and dark outside. But this year I've committed to embracing the season and getting more activity no matter how cold it is outside and finding that enjoyment that I've been missing. I've just realized I'm gonna have to search for it. When I first started to think about how I could embrace winter, I thought about my friend T.A. Loeffler right away. Now, she's a professor at Memorial University. She teaches outdoor recreation, and she's actually a professional mountain climber that climbed Everest. She's committed her entire life to embracing winter. So I couldn't help but think getting outside with T.A. would be the perfect way to start my journey to embrace winter.
So Mike, I hear you want to learn to love winter.
I do, and who better than you? I mean, I don't think I'm alone. I think that a lot of people don't really like winter. I really don't like getting out too much. Why is that?
Well, I think winter just adds a whole extra layer to everything. You got to get dressed, you might have to scrape your car, and it's cold.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you love winter. You climb mountains in the middle of winter. I mean, why do you love it so much?
I love winter because there are so many cool things you can do. Outside, like skiing, both Nordic and downhill, like skating, like tobogganing, like even just going out for a walk and enjoying the different colors of light. Winter is magical. I look forward to winter. In fact, I think if we looked at my activity tracker, you'd find I'm much more active in winter than summer.
Well, I'm glad you're teaching me because I need to increase my activity level. I've been sitting around the house, I've been comfortable, but really it's not the way I live. Like, I like to be active, but I need some guidance, I think.
If you can get through some of those obstacles, if you can find an activity you love, then winter is awesome.
So I came to the right person. How are you going to make me love winter as much as you do?
Well, you know, I don't think talking is going to do it.
Yeah.
So I see you have your skates. Let's go for a skate here at the Loop.
I was a bit hesitant at first to get outside and go for a skate, but once I found my balance, it was a lot more fun than I expected. And of course, it was great to hang out with TA.
I made it. Well, you know, I don't think I consider myself a very good skater. That's been a long time since I've been on skates. I don't think I was ever good to begin with.
Well, you know, I think you've got a great start here today.
We're in downtown St. John's. We're in Bannerman Park, right in the middle of the city. What other activities can people do if they just want to stay close to home?
Well, here in the city, we have the Winter Activity Center up near the Pippi Park Campground. There you can rent snowshoes if you'd like to try snowshoeing. There's also Nordic ski rentals, so you can give a go of Nordic skiing. There's track trails up there. Also here at the Loop and other places, there is skating. And some of the places like that are groomed now, some of the cities or municipalities are grooming trails just to get out and go for a walk.
Yeah, that's nice. And I know you're a big advocate for accessibility. What about people that may have mobility issues? How can they get involved in this type of stuff?
Well, winter is actually in some ways an easier season to adapt. And so up at the Winter Activity Center, there can be some sit skiing for Nordic skiing. Out at White Hills, they've got a sit ski program for downhill skiing. And then here at the Loop and other skating facilities, you can get a sledge and you can use that to do sit-down skating. So I think we're definitely growing our ability to have that kind of equipment available in the province.
That's nice, that's nice. Okay, so listen, you were my prof before. You've always trusted your advice. What do I do next to start to love winter more? Because this is pretty good.
Well, I'm going to give you a piece of homework, Mike.
Okay.
I want you to find one activity that you love, and it might take trying 1 or 2. And I want you to get out there, start practicing, and get outside every day if you can.
All right. You're never going to get rid of me as a student. You know that, right?
Well, you know, once my student, always my student.
So I learned I might be the only Canadian that can't skate, but there's still value in getting out in winter. TA's taught me that winter's only as good as you make it, and by combining activities with fun and friends, then you can enjoy it a lot more. She stressed to me to find activities that I like to do so I'll do them more often. And there happens to be one activity that I actually love to do, and that's skiing. I just haven't done it for 5 years. But I happen to know the perfect duo to hit the slopes with. We couldn't have asked for a better day to go skiing. The sun was shining and the conditions at White Hills were perfect. I met up with my friends Dave and Jodi and we headed up the hill. Now my first few runs were definitely a bit shaky, but I grew up skiing, so it didn't take long before it started coming back and I felt like myself again. My friends Jodi and Dave don't just like winter, they love winter. They've actually integrated it into their lifestyle where they chase snow all around the world. Dave was a pro skier in Europe, and Jodi actually started her media career covering skiing in the Rocky Mountains. So I needed to find out what made their love of winter so effortless.
Here you go, Buzz.
Right.
The hydration.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. That was awesome. I haven't been out skiing for like 5 years.
You look great.
Oh, thanks. It's kind of hard to keep up with you guys. You guys are pretty much pro skiers. You guys plan your trips and everything around skiing and winter time, which is kind of backwards for a lot of people. Just want to go somewhere warm.
Yeah, I think, you know, you have to really embrace winter, especially Newfoundland and Labrador. But for Dave and I, we're both entering our 43rd year, and that puts me on snow for 40 years. We've spent our life chasing snow. It's opened up incredible opportunities for us, work opportunities, in fact, career opportunities, but more importantly, friends and just wellness in the wintertime.
When it's a difficult time of year, and you put them outside and some sunshine like that and some snow, like it just brings everything and everyone to life.
That's true. I mean, I feel really good right now. I mean, we were outside, got lots of fresh air. The time flew. We were out there for a while. We did a lot of runs. But I feel like it's physical, but also I feel really calm and relaxed too, which is nice because I've been kind of having cabin fever lately.
Yeah, this was a hard winter, and I felt the second round of lockdowns, or in fact it was probably the third round of lockdowns, I found it really tough on my mental health. And I'm not going to lie, it wasn't really even easy to get up and want to go skiing very often. I had no motivation, but I will tell you that once you get out there, you never regret it.
It's just so hard to kind of get out the door sometimes, but like, I mean, how do you feel right now?
Yeah, I don't regret it. And it's funny because I've been sort of in couch potato mode for the last few months and I haven't really embraced winter as much as maybe I should have. So I appreciate you guys taking me out, being patient and going slow, and give me a few tips.
Go slow. You also
You kept up just fine.
Oh, thanks, guys. Cheers.
Cheers.
Getting outside and reconnecting with activities you did as a kid is a great way to enjoy winter. And it doesn't have to be a ski hill. You can go out and go sliding or build a snowman or go for a walk in your neighborhood, as long as you're getting outside. You also don't have to be a pro to have fun. But I'm starting to feel a little bit like a pro. So I called up a guy I know named Rene Ritter. Now this guy has dedicated his entire life to surviving in the harshest winter environments in the entire world. So I called to get some advice and maybe a little bit of a pat on the back for how good I'm doing, but instead he invited me to the National Research Council and told me to bring a change of clothes. This should be interesting.
We were chatting about winter and becoming more like friendly with winter, so what's going on with that?
So basically, I'm trying to enjoy winter more. And I know that you have been doing stuff outside for a long, long time, like pretty extreme stuff. And you're doing this training with people. You're teaching people how to be safe in the cold, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, part of being outside and enjoying it is also being confident that you're safe, right? So if you feel unsafe, then not usually as much fun. To be comfortable outside just means kind of knowing what to expect that your body can go through when you're exposed to like cold weather, water, air, that type of thing. So I figured based on our talk, we come down here to our friends at NRC and have some scientists show you exactly what can happen to your body when you're in the cold water.
Okay, so I got my change of clothes.
You do?
Getting the impression that I might be getting wet.
Oh, I'm not going to say that, but we're going to head into the thermal lab right now with John and Melvin. They're going to take good care of you, and I'm curious to see what happens.
Yeah, so am I, trust me. So John, you're a thermal physiologist. What are we doing here?
So today we're actually going to do a cold water immersion in our facility here in the thermal lab. So the first step is we're going to have you ingest this pill that's going to measure your deep body temperature, or commonly known as core temperature. There's a common misconception that when people die in cold water, people think it has to do with hypothermia, but it's actually due to the cold shock response, and we're going to see that today.
Okay, all right, so I take the pill, and then what do I do?
So you're going to take the pill, and then you're just going to dive right in.
That's a big pill. All right, so that's ingested now. What's happening inside my body?
So what's happening right now is the pill is starting to reach the temperature of your deep body. So in a few minutes, it's going to equalize to the temperature inside your body, and then we're going to be able to read it using this logger right here.
Okay, so just like scan myself?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Is that it right there? There,
yep.
Yeah.
So your core temperature is about 36.75 degrees Celsius, and that's pretty normal.
Okay, that's good to know so far. Is that going to change? Yeah.
Actually, no, and that's the interesting thing. We don't expect your core temperature to drop very much during a sudden cold water immersion.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting. I bet it'll feel like it's getting colder, though.
You're going to feel very cold, and in fact, what might actually happen is you might actually be warmer on the inside after you come out. When you get suddenly immersed in cold water, you have an intense vasoconstrictive response. So your blood vessels close down because your body wants to redirect all that warm blood to its core to be able to keep its organs alive. And then at the same time, you'll begin to shiver, which will increase the amount of heat you produce. So in that initial period when you're immersed, you have higher insulation and you have a higher heat production. So your core temperature can actually rise slightly. And then eventually, if you stay in cold water, your core temperature will begin to drop.
But I'm not going to be in long enough to have it drop.
No.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay, well, I guess we should go in, I guess?
Let's head on in.
All right. All right. Just get in.
Just get in. How are you feeling, Mike? How are you feeling?
I can't breathe.
So, this right here is the cold shock response, and this is why it's so deadly. Notice you're having trouble controlling your breathing?
I can't breathe a little bit now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there you go. So this is what makes it so deadly. When you get into cold water, you're not able to control your breathing. How are you feeling?
Cold. Really cold, but it's like colder to my skin right now. It's definitely cold.
Yeah.
So it's not fun.
So notice now you're starting to shiver?
Yeah.
So what happened is your skin temperature is dropping, and it's sending signals to your brain to start initiating shivering to try and keep you warm.
Okay. I can't feel my hands now. I've lost complete feeling in my hands.
Yeah. So that's going to be the next stage of cold water immersion. It's called swim failure. You start losing sensation in your muscles. Your joints start to thicken up and become viscous. It's hard to swim, hard to coordinate movements.
Yes. Cool. Don't laugh at me, man.
So it's been almost, what, 3 minutes now?
Yeah.
Are you down to maybe take an overnight outside?
It's warmer than this, then yes.
Well, I can't promise that, but we'll see how it goes.
Can I get out?
You good to come out?
Yeah, I can get out now.
All right, let's go.
Okay.
Right, come on.
Oh. Yeah. Woo. Oh, I can't move my legs.
Come on down. The hot tub awaits.
Oh, man.
All right, let's get you out to the hot tub. Come on.
Well, that was an experience I didn't expect, but that's the beauty of it. If you're gonna immerse yourself in winter, you have to be safe, and there's a lot of unknowns. The second I hit the water, I completely understood what John was talking about, the cold shock response. I couldn't control my breathing at all. And for the next 3 minutes, my goal was literally just surviving and calming down my body. All I could think about was being by a nice warm fire and being cozy. The risk of freezing or hypothermia is real, but there's people like Rene that are specially trained to navigate the hazards of the environment. So I'm a little bit nervous about camping with him, but I know he's not going to steer me wrong. Besides, how else am I going to find out how much winter I can actually handle? Winter's a harsh season, and the last thing I ever would have expected is to camp out overnight in the elements. But if Rene can do it for months, I can do it for one night, right?
This is a good icing on the cake to see what you're made of.
Yeah, well, if the dunk tank didn't do it, then this definitely will.
So yeah, the trailhead is just up ahead. It's like where I kind of go to sort of reset my brain when things are a little bit too hectic. Just to the left there, and this is where we'll, like I said, we'll unload and then get what we need to get and head out into the woods.
I feel like I lucked out this year with the snow.
Yeah, there's not a lot of it, but it's cold enough.
Yeah, definitely is cold enough. Now, you teach this stuff for a living, so if somebody gets stuck outside, like we're going to be tonight, how do we pick the right spot?
Well, there's like kind of a few things that you need to account for. First thing is make sure, you check the weather and see what you're potentially dealing with, which in theory is good, but we live in Newfoundland and weather changes basically. If you don't like it, wait 5 minutes.
Right.
Right. So that's kind of the first thing. Second thing is like keep yourself sort of high. If it's going to rain, you don't want the rain draining into your camp and into your bed, and you wake up in a bathtub. So that's something to kind of be mindful of. And third thing is deadfall, potential deadfall. You look around and see, okay, this tree doesn't look to be alive. Do I want to like hitch my shelter to that, and it blows down on top of you overnight? So those are some of the basic stuff, that we sort of look for.
That's important though. You didn't bring much stuff. This is all we got for our shelter.
Yeah, so like I said, we're gonna kind of go light tonight, and we've got one each, so we're just gonna find a place that sort of looks good, and we'll see how it goes.
All right, do you see any spots around here?
I do. I actually see one right over there.
Okay, let's check that out.
Yeah. What do you think?
This is perfect.
It's your house for tonight.
It's like you described. There's no dead trees around. We're pretty high ground.
Not bad. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good site, I think. It'll work for tonight. So if you don't mind, help me sort of get this tarp situated. So this is basically called an improvised shelter, right? It's people who, like me, who don't want to carry a bunch of gear into the backcountry, keep it lightweight, but yet still sort of protects you from the elements. We're going to basically just connect this to our tree. And then we're going to stake these out from some branches, and then we'll set it up and see how it goes. The cool thing about this is we can modify this overnight. So if something happens, the wind changes direction, we can take out the stake, move the tarp, because you want to have your shelter basically into the wind so that you're protected from it. Nothing fancy needed. A tree is good because it gives you some friction, so the rope will stay put. That's a good stake.
Good,
Yeah.
Hey, you got the fire going now?
Yeah, it's going pretty good.
That's good. We're all set up back there too for a cold night.
Shelter looks good.
Yeah, it's great, man.
Cool.
I really appreciate you taking me out here, by the way. I know this is nothing for you, but it's fun for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to have you here, man. We life is life. We don't get to hang as much anymore, but it's good to have you here.
That's kind of because you're adventuring all over the place now. I mean, do you have any more trips planned?
Well, I mean, with the pandemic thing, it really kind of put a damper on my 2019 expedition that was through the Northwest Passage. So I'm getting set to pick that up again in 2023. And my ultimate goal is to go to Antarctica and do a South Pole trip solo, and ski from the coast and ski to the South Pole. So that's the ultimate goal for me.
Yeah, that's a pretty good bucket list. Not many people have done that one. You've been doing this forever. Why? I mean, because you know what I mean. Like, it's not the most common thing to want to like go out in the middle of nowhere and camp out by yourself and do something like that.
I've thought about that a lot, and people ask me why, and I don't really know if I know why specifically, but I know for me, it makes me appreciate the things that I have in a lot of ways. And when I get out there and I'm kind of in a remote place, I just basically have to figure out how I'm gonna feed myself, shelter myself, and live day to day, maybe a little bit uncomfortable. So when I get back home, I really look back on that fondly and think like, wow, that that was maybe pretty miserable at times,
Yeah.
but I always want to go back. So
Right.
for me, it's like a reset.
So yeah, Rene, I mean, I've done a lot to try and get in the groove of winter. I was a horrible skater with TA. I went skiing with my buddies at White Hills. I even did the experiment in the cold water. And now we're out doing this, which is like the icing on the cake, really. It's kind of the full gauntlet of winter experience. But you know, I'll tell you what I have learned is that winter activity is a lot better when you do it with your friends. It's been a long time since we've seen each other, man. It's really great to hang out.
Yeah, yeah. Solo is okay, but yeah, I agree. Having someone with you, you know, talk is a good thing. Get in and see if you like it.
That's it. All right. Oh man, it's not bad.
Coming in.
Woo!
Big spoon or little spoon?
Big spoon. This looks like it's an open concept.
Yeah, I mean, it's got lots of air going through. You know?
Yeah, it's got airflow. It's good. It's HVAC system's
Vaulted
deadly.
ceiling.
Yeah, vaulted ceiling. It's organic.
So I've really committed to going all in on winter, but there was definitely a point when it became a bit too much. You need to find your limits, and I definitely found mine. But if we find activities we enjoy, then we can all start to appreciate winter more. Now, I'll never be as good of a climber as TA, or as good of a skier as Jodi and Dave, or trek as well as Rene, and that's perfectly fine, because we're all built differently. But we can enjoy winter in our own way.
Bundled up, ready to go. We're gonna do this, Rene.
I'm already there.
All right, pal. I'm an hour and a half in. He's been gone since we first got in the tent, but I'm hopeful. I've almost fallen asleep a couple times. I can't feel my feet, and my hands are cold, and the wind is coming through this tent thing that doesn't have walls. It's a little bit unnerving at this point. Rene, did you hear that, man? You up? Because I hate you. I hate you.